Hello and welcome to a Talmud Israeli production. Today we'll review the highlights of this week's course of Daf Yomi, study Masechet Bava Batra, pages 173 through 176. We make a siyum, and then Sanhedrin, pages 2 through 4. 173. Ha'omer libno, man says to his son, Shtar ben shtaratai parua, among the various documents that I have in my possession, where I am the creditor and there's a borrower out there, one of them was already paid off. But I don't know which one. So now the problem is you don't want to be immoral and collect double on an already prepaid star. So Kulan Pruin, we have to assume they're all paid. That even though the son and the estate is going to lose out on all sorts of loans that go unpaid, we're not allowed to seek repayment from somebody who already paid, so therefore you'd have to just chalk it up as a loss. However, if there was one person who was a creditor on two different documents, well, now this guy does have to pay, because at most one of those two was already paid off. So we'll assume the larger one was paid off and the smaller one has to be paid. In this manner, the estate or the son of the deceased is able to collect on at least some modicum of money. 174. Amar Rav Huna. Shchiv Merai, the deathly ill person, Shiktish Nechasav, who declared all of his assets to be Kodesh, to the sanctity of the temple. The Amar Mana Laploni Biyadi, but he said, among my assets, there's $100 that belongs to so-and-so that I have to give back to him. So now the temple treasury is losing out on that $100. Do we believe this guy to take away $100 from the temple? And the answer is, Naaman, we do believe him. Chazaka ein adam osekni ala hekdesh, because we have an assumption, a halachic presumption, that a person does not make a conspiracy against the hekdesh. I mean, after all, this man is donating everything in the first place. Why wouldn't we believe him? If he's willing to donate $10,000 to the hekdesh, but he says that $100 doesn't go to hekdesh, it's because he's being real about it. He's being honest about it. 175. Amar Rabbi Yishmael. If you want to become smart, Rabbi Yishmael says, delve into financial law. Because there's no greater subject matter in Torah than the financial laws. It's like a flowing spring. And if you want to learn financial laws correctly, who should you go to? Yeshama Shimon ben Nanis. Go serve at the feet of Shimon ben Nanis because he was the greatest of all the financial judges. Okay. Last page for Bava Batra, 176. Hilchata, what's the law? Milva al-peh government yorshin. If you have a loan which was conducted orally with no financial documentation to back it up, well, the creditor's heirs, okay, the creditor can get back payment from the heirs of the debtor's estate. In a government lekuchos, however, you cannot get back assets from purchasers, meaning that there's no shibud, there's no lien on the property of the debtor in the case of an oral loan, and so if he sold off his assets to somebody else, you can't grab them from the purchasers from the lekuchot. Why is this true? The reason why you can get money back from the heirs of the estate is because we don't want to close the door in front of borrowers. And if the creditors thought they couldn't get paid back if the debtor died and that the kids would be off the hook, nobody would ever lend any money. But we do not allow you to collect from the purchasers because there was no voice, there was no sound, there was no noise about this loan since it wasn't recorded on paper. Now we go to Sanhedrin. Sanhedrin page 2, Daf Bet. A subverted city which has to be destroyed. Torah tells us that the idolatrous city has to be thoroughly destroyed and the stuff burnt in the town square. We do not do this unless it's adjudicated by a court of 71, the National Sanhedrin. Moreover, we do not declare a subverted city if it's a border town. Why not? We're afraid if we ruin a border town, the enemy will encroach upon our territory, and the border will be moved, and Am Yisrael will lose some of Eretz Yisrael. V'lo Gimel, we don't create three subverted cities, because then we'd be destroying too much of Eretz Yisrael. We can make one or two. So again, the halacha often reflects a desire to protect the national interest, not only the religious interest as expressed in the Torah. Daf Gimel. 3. Midoraita. So according to one opinion, under Torah law, financial cases could be adjudicated by one judge. Chad nami kosher. Even one judge is kosher. As it says, in righteousness you shall judge your fellow, you meaning one person. But by rabbinic rule, we do not allow one person to judge because we're afraid that it'll be corner dwellers, morons. People don't know the rules, and there'll be go-getters who think they can judge cases, and it'll be a disaster. Now, but the Gemara then says, but just because you make three doesn't mean you're not going to have three corner dwellers. You can have three morons just as easily as you could have one moron. So the Gemara answers, no. 3 fools, 3 idiots is unlikely. Somebody of those 3 is going to know something about the rules and will judge appropriately. But if you're going to tell me that somebody knows the rules, then if they make a mistake, they should be exempt from payment, because that's the rule concerning official judges. So the Gemara responds, well, if we exempted from payment in case of judicial error these people who are unordained judges, then all the more so you'll have corner dwellers and fools jumping the gun to serve as judges. We'd rather they think that there's a downside to it. If they make a mistake, they'll have to pay for it, and they'll shy away from doing what we don't want them to do. Daf Daled 4. Rabbi Akiva Omer. Minayin l'raviyat dam. How do we know that if you have a raviyat of dam, 3-4 ounces of blood, which is the requisite measure for creating a situation of tumat ohel, corpse impurity under a tent, where the impurity spreads to everything under that roof? Mishtei meitim shemetam ba'ohel. How do you know that the blood, if it's a raviyat that comes from 2 different dead bodies, the law of impurity still holds true? Shenamar, as it says in the Torah, al kol nafshot met lo yavo. It uses the expression nafshot in the plural. 2 dead bodies, 2 souls, v'shir echad, and 1 measure. We see from here it doesn't have to flow from 1 body, it can flow from multiple bodies. As long as you have the requisite measure of blood, you have corpse impurity under that ohel. Everyone have a great week.